Good morning, Kabroda crew. Welcome back. Thanks for joining our live stream again and coming back, checking us out. Or if you're new, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for joining and yeah, seeing what's going on. Yeah, thanks for coming. It's been a pretty nice little morning here. We're having a little bit of a heat wave, so it's already like 80 degrees outside. It's only 8:30 or so here. Little dark. It's actually been a little cooler today in terms of the heat wave and everything. We've been up in the hundreds plus pretty much every day, so yeah, it's been kind of nice actually. Obviously you're kind of staying indoors, staying out of it, but when you are out there, it's nice to have a little bit of heat. Probably not too great if you're working in it, but just being able to go out and enjoy it, it's pretty nice. But yeah, other than that, pretty nice little morning. Got up, got ready, got some breakfast. We've been working on rebuilding a retro console that we've been kind of working on, so that's been kind of fun. So we got a little bit of that in, kind of worked on that for a little bit. It's pretty much done now, just got a couple more tweaks, and then we should be good on that. So yeah, it's been pretty fun. But yeah, not too bad of a morning, so hopefully y'all's has been pretty good as well. Jumping into the live stream, looks like we got a couple people here already. We got Terry here, got Kathleen. Thanks for joining, y'all. Thanks for coming in, and yes, supporting the channel, seeing what's up. If y'all wouldn't mind hitting that like button, it helps our channel grow and helps us reach some more wider range of people, wider crowd. So yeah, it's just helpful for us. Yeah, overall, I guess let's just jump into it, kind of see what's going on. Gave people a couple minutes to kind of get into here. But yeah, let's see what's going on. So yesterday, we had a little bit of a fire off, after the weekend of really not doing a whole lot. Saturday, Sunday, kind of just went sideways and up. Not really up like where you can take a bunch of trades, but just kind of up and sideways more or less. Sunday we did have a little bit of a pop, around 2 to 6 or so. A little bit of a pop up, and then kind of ran sideways into Monday. Yesterday we had a pretty good amount of volume kind of come up. The system actually called a trade to the upside. Unfortunately, we came back down, hit our stop out, but the system did call a trade to the upside. 8:30 candle ripped us up. We actually kind of thought we were going to continue here. But 8:30 session, like I say on the live all the time, there's a lot of volatility and stuff that comes into the market around 8:30. That's why we make that a big deal here on the live stream. So you got a lot of volatility coming up, and then price action just ripped back down and continued down. After that, we didn't actually get that push up, I guess we did get a push up, just not as far as the system kind of thought, with this target one here being the call that it was going for. After that, we dropped below 200, continued down throughout the night, and here we are on Tuesday, sitting around 63,200, ready for the day and see what's going on, see what's happening today with the lines, see what's going on with the trade, see if there's anything kind of getting called on Kabroda and things like that. So yeah, we'll just jump into today's price action, kind of see what's going on. Overall, looks like we're in a bit of a bear flag, just kind of first glance. You're seeing a little bit of sideways price action here. So whatever the bear flag looks like, it could be something a little like this, could be maybe something different. Maybe we're going to come down a little farther. It'll be more of a triangle, kind of like that. I don't know. We'll see as the flag kind of plays out. Patterns are pretty hard to go off of, just because you know, it's just kind of, you got to have the eye for it really, and there's really a lot more different technical analysis stuff that kind of goes into making the pattern. So if you kind of learn the technical analysis stuff that goes into making the pattern, then you should be able to you know, see the pattern without seeing the pattern, if you know what I mean. So we're kind of running sideways here. Looks like we have some support or a resistance line somewhere around there where we're looking to kind of get the broke through before we see that continuation to the downside. Again, if you've been watching the channel for a while, we've been watching for price action to kind of come down on the weekly and break below 60,000 or above 80,620 something, I believe. So if we do go either way, that'll kind of tell us the direction. Obviously, if you go down, get that break below and close below 60,000, basically we'll be continuing down to 42 to 45,000 level. Around 50,000 is where we've been kind of setting our main target. You know, obviously it should drop to that lower level of the 42 to 45, but we just want to be a little more conservative at 50,000. If it goes to the upside and breaks above 80, the 80,000 level I was talking about, then we'll have to kind of reevaluate at that point, because the way that price action is right now with the longer time frames, we're in a bear wave. So we're seeing basically we're using Elliott waves on the longer time frames, and you're seeing the bear wave kind of play out. If we don't get the close below 60,000 level and we instead go up to that 80,000 level, that would ruin that bear flag or the bear Elliott wave that we've been talking about. It actually like reset it, and we would never get bear wave 5. And that's why we say we have to reevaluate. If we do get a close below 60,000, that would kind of confirm our bear wave 5, and that would, you know, give us the targets. So that's where we're getting that, if you're interested. We'll probably break that down a little bit farther later in the live. But for right now, let's jump on over to Kabroda, kind of see what's going on, and grab our levels as well, so we can kind of redo our levels from yesterday and see what's going on for today. Looks like right now the 830 candle's giving us a little bit of volatility to the downside, but we'll see what happens here. All right, I already have this open actually, so we'll go back. Make it big screen. Here we go. All right, BTC is sitting around 63,431 as of 8:30 or 8 a.m. this morning, not 8:30. We are bearish with 5 out of 5 of our indicators showing bearish, so pretty bearish, you know. We are building. Essentially, we're yeah, it doesn't really matter. Where Jewel is lined up with us, we got the multi-agent system standing down, so there's no 15-minute trade for today. We do have a breakout of 63,701 and a breakdown of 63,133. We'll go ahead and throw those on the chart. You can pause and grab these levels from here right now, but we, like I said, we will grab the trigger levels here and we'll throw them on our chart, and then you can see what it looks like in real time. All right, so for the trades for today, we do have a 4-hour call with the entry at 63,604. Same entry for the 1 hour. Our stop for the 4 hours is going to be 65,857, and our target is going to be 61,351. So we'll take a little short down to the downside. We're thinking it's going to drop pretty far. 1 hour short, same entry. We have a stop of 65,167 and a target of 62,041. So basically just a little bit smaller version of that trade, a little bit tighter. You know, not as much room. Basically, it's just built off of the 1 hour instead of the 4 hours, essentially what it was. Overall, it's saying that the 4 hour is the better of the two. We can kind of I'll throw this on the chart so we can kind of see it when we get over there. But for right now, let's grab our levels here and head back to the chart and throw our triggers on there. So today is Tuesday. Let's redo our levels. There we go. And there we go. These are the levels for today. So you can see that resistance that I was pointing out is in fact our breakdown trigger actually. So, you know, interesting how that kind of levels up there. You can almost see that our levels here today are almost like a pattern of their own with a little bit of a sideways flag basically. And then we're breaking out to the downside kind of right now. Again, like I said, 8:30, you know, a lot of volatility could come back up into the zone. It's just kind of how 8:30 works. Your entry for the 4-hour time, 4-hour position would have been right there, and then targets down here, stops up here. Everything is pulled at target 1 is the idea here on this one. So you'd make about a 1-to-1. Nothing crazy, but you know, also pretty good, a little bit of money, I guess, if you're looking at trading that. I'm gonna take that off. So yeah, we're getting a little bit of a breakdown. We'll kind of break down our levels here though. So looking at it, we got our breakout line up here in green. Breakdown line is in purple. Yeah, purple. And then we have our dash line here is daily resistance, the red one, and then the other dash line in blue is going to be our daily support. This zone here in the middle is our 30-minute range. So, you know, if you've never been here before, that's kind of the breakdown of the different levels. Essentially, what we're looking for with the levels is either for price to break the purple line or break the green line. It's pretty simple. And then typically, you know, your 30-minute range will be for stuff like stops and things like that. And then typically with your daily support and daily resistance, those kind of help us find targets sometimes. They also help us kind of determine how far price is going to go. But honestly, lately we haven't been super giving them a lot of weight, really. They've just kind of been there. So, you know, definitely support, definitely resistance, definitely lines to kind of look at as those. But it's not really something that's like a huge deal in our strategy at this point. You know, the way we used to look at them is kind of measure the gap. Obviously, today the gap is not too great. So if you take the gap between either the breakdown and the daily support or the breakout and the daily resistance, and you measure that gap, that'll tell you how likely price is to break out. It was kind of the idea. If you get it over a 0.5%, typically it's pretty good. Obviously today we don't have that. So, you know, in terms of that, it's actually not looking too great, but honestly, you don't really need that. And if price does actually break below the daily support like it is right now and gets a close and a little bit of continuation, you could see a definite drop here. So we'll see what happens, but definitely looking nice for the drop. Kind of interesting that 30-minute range is so far so close to the upper end. You know, it's close to the breakout range. That's definitely interesting because typically when you see that, you're going to see a breakout to the upside. But yeah, just based off, you know, a little bit of line TA there, we're looking good for the downside. I wouldn't say it's like the best setup overall. It's just looking like it could break down, but it's not necessarily like set in stone that it's going to break down. Obviously, you know, if you're looking at your 4-hour trade, you have a lot of room to the upside. I mean, we haven't even hit that. We didn't even hit that over the weekend. So definitely a pretty big stop there, as well as, you know, you got to drop down pretty far to hit your target. So you got a little ways to go before that happens, and you definitely got a lot of room to the upside if we do, you know, come up and maybe break out a little bit today and then decide to go down tomorrow. You know, 4-hour trades, they take a little bit longer than 15. You might not close the same day. Might be a day or two before it ends up playing out. So definitely looking good for the 4-hour. For 15-minute wise, and maybe, you know, just looking at overall today, are we going to break down? It's hard to tell. There's not a whole lot, you know, pointing one way or the other. overall, you know, right now I'd be saying, okay, it looks like it could be pretty good for the short here. Looks like we could continue down, but I also wouldn't say we couldn't just go back up and maybe break out a little bit to the upside as well, or even just kind of trade sideways within this range. It's really not. It's not pointing everything down, not pointing everything up, really. So kind of just overall, you know, sideways market is what we typically call it, and it just means that it just doesn't really have a directional call that's, you know, probability wise high enough and probability that we're just going to say, okay, it is going to go this way, or oh, it's going to go this way. All right, let's break down the longer time frame. So we'll look at that 1 hour here, kind of check out the trade. You can see the 1 hour is looking a little bit better in terms of, you know, maybe looking at it as a pattern. You're seeing a little bit of a upwards facing triangle here, which is a good sign for a continuation of the dump. This candle is pretty nice as well. 13 minutes left, so, you know, another end of that 50-minute candle, and we'll be looking for that close here on the 1 hour down there. That would show a lot of confirmation that we're going to continue down even farther. If we're looking at the 4 hour here, this is where the trade is based off of. So you can see we came up and dropped above that there, but we are in a bear trend now here on the 4 hour. Since this level here, you got a close, you got a drop below a lower low than this low here, so that puts us into a bear trend right there. And then we came up, obviously it's more of a micro, well, I guess on the 4 hour maybe it's just a regular bear trend, but came down, hit the bear trend there, it came up, made a lower high, and then now we're dropping down even lower. So we're seeing that continuation down. Should continue to drop yeah, for a while. If you're looking at it as Elliott wave, you're definitely going to see a lot more drop here. Let's see, let's grab the one. So that's 1, got 2, 3 could go wherever, I don't know. Say 3, it comes down to that green line there, it's resistance. 4, and then 5. When you're looking at 5, like 4 and 5, you're going to see 4 to 5, like the end of the bear wave, is actually going to be the same as the first wave. So if we take a measurement here of the top of the first wave to the bottom of the first wave, and then obviously we don't know where 4 is right now, like where the high is, but say you come up here and you start to see the curl over, you could take this and draw it off, and then that will typically be your target. So you know, if I don't know where it's going to hit, but it'll be somewhat of a target. And we could, you know, we could drop lower here, and maybe it sets up more like this or something, and then, you know, your target's going to be even lower than that. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, it kind of depends on what happens here with you know, next little bit here on the 4 hour, a couple of candles or so. You're going to need see that drop and then bounce up, and then start to see that drop again before you can kind of predict where it's going to go. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is we still got a decent amount of room here on the bear wave here before we see the end of the bear wave. Yeah, and starts to flip to the upside again. At least on the 4 hour, you know, that's just, you know, that's just one indicator. There's definitely a lot of indicators you got to look at for where you can make any kind of, you know, full on assumptions, and it really depends on your system as well. So, you know, overall we'll see what happens. Like I said, yeah, see what happens. Going out to the daily here. So on the daily we do get a double top ish sort of thing right there. We're seeing a little bit of breakdown here. We're going to need to get a little bit more breakdown to confirm the double top. Honestly, I guess really to confirm the double top, you're going to have to get below this 57,000 level low that we had right here. So we need to get below that, and then we'll see that confirmation that we are in fact going to continue down to the downside. More than likely take us to the actually, yeah, if we did get that, probably gets close on the weekly, and that would take us you know, to the continuation down to that 50,000 level that we've been talking about with the target. Looking out at the weekly, still got a little bit longer on this candle. We've been fighting on this 200 for a while, kind of came down, hit it, tried to trade sideways for a little bit, dipped below it, came back up, and now we're starting to dip below it again. Definitely been riding it the whole time. You can see these a lot of indecision with the candles. Typically when you see big wicks on both sides on the candles, that's an indicator that we are in fact in some indecision. If you see longer licks on one of the sides, that's actually a good sign for the opposite side. So, you know, if we see big sell wicks and you keep seeing, you know, the candles turn green, kind of like these two, there is also a top end you got to think about. But you know, with how these two kind of look, it looks pretty nice for the bulls actually, because you're seeing you know, price try to break below and then it gets bought back up and closes, you know, green, gets bought down or gets sold down, then comes back up, goes green again and closes. And then you see in this one though, there's a lot of indecision because you kind of got the same thing on the top side. So that's what we'd call a Darth Maul candle. So you have basically like a blade on this side, a blade on this side, and you got the handle in between. So, you know, a lot of indecision is basically what that means. So you don't know, market doesn't know if it wants to go up, because when it tried to go up, it got sold off. And then when it tried to sell down, it got bought back up. So really, we don't know which way we're going to go. You got to have one of them start to win over the other. And then, you know, this candle, we're starting to see some nice commitment here on the bear side. So we'll see what happens here, you know, into this week, going into next week. I don't know. Got to wait for a long while here on the weekly to see kind of what's going to go on. But that's why we look at the smaller time frames to kind of break it down day to day. Let's jump into the agents breakdown of today and see what's going on in there, kind of read through it and see if anything is, you know, stand out crazy. See what happens here. So let's head back to Kabroda.com. This is our breakdown. We're talking about releasing this here, you know, in soonish. Basically, it'll be a sort of thing you kind of sign up for. You'll get an email with one of these every day, kind of just to break down the market. You know, kind of tells you what's going on, what things to maybe keep an eye on, things for the longer time frame to watch, stuff like that. You know, we'll read through it here pretty soon, like we do all the time on the live. But yeah, if you signed up, you'd get this every day. You know, the breakdown every day. You could read through it yourself and check out the charts. And then you know, you wouldn't have to wait for Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday. You know, when we're doing a live, you could just hop on and kind of check that out. So anyways, let's check out today's BTC bear structure is intact, but momentum is exhausted. The system is standing down. So the dominant intraday structure on BTC is bearish with it's actually 5 out of 5 time frames aligned to the downside and trend strength building on both the 4-hour and the hourly charts. However, the 15-minute execution time frame is carrying an active cross time frame exhaustion signal on top of overextended momentum. Shorting here means entering the tail end of his move already deployed. That is not an original. So no trades issued today. Basically, we're kind of getting to the bottom here on, at least for the 15-minute, like I was saying, you know, where it could go either way here on the 15-minute. Could mean that we need to kind of wait till maybe tomorrow to see the system kind of switch over to saying, all right, maybe we're going to short today. You know, just needs a little break. Basically, we need to kind of flag out a little bit longer before you get to breakdown. Yeah, so, you know, we'll see exactly what it says, but yeah, essentially it's going to wait a little bit longer. So the structural picture today, BTC is navigating bear wave 4, corrective rally that originated at 60,055, wave 3, low and carries a structural ceiling at 80,632. Today's session at 63,555 represents a sharp pullback from yesterday's $65,095 print, but the wave remains structurally intact above that 60,055 origin. So, like I said, we need to break below that 60,055 level on the weekly and get it closed before we can continue down even farther, to those targets around 50,000. Confirmed weekly close below that level ends the corrective rally entirely and activates bear wave 5. Immediate structure question is whether the intraday bullish leg constitutes a retest of bounce support or early stage of wave structure failure, and that answer does not resolve until price tests at 6,055 level. All right, so hopefully y'all understood that. Basically, if we want to see that breakdown to 6,055 level, that's really all you need to get from the takeaway from that. Market sentiment. So for the fear and greed index today, we were reading at a 29 out of 100. We're still in the fear section. So, a couple weeks ago, we were sitting in extreme fear actually for a while. I think one of the longest times in the history of Bitcoin that we were sitting at extreme fear. If you don't know what the fear and greed index is, basically it's a measurement of, how scared are people of Bitcoin, like how much do they want to, kind of sell to get out of it. Or how greedy are they? So how much do they want to just, come in and just try to buy it all the time? And everybody's like super excited about Bitcoin. Typically you'll see greed obviously on the up moves, and you'll see fear on the down moves. When Bitcoin starts to go down a little bit, into the lower, whatever, it could be anything, but basically it just goes down. People start to get fearful, they start to get scared. And then once it gets into extreme fear, it's kind of like, fear is people are selling, and then extreme fear is like everybody's trying to get out of it. Everybody's scared. And that's typically when you'll see direction kind of flip. Same thing for greed, greed's there. Sometimes we can flip in greed, but most of the time people, start to get greedy. And then when they get into extreme greed, that's when people start, just going crazy about Bitcoin, and that's oftentimes when it does end up flipping. It's just kind of based off, the old trading kind of idea that, well, when everybody's telling you to buy, you need to sell. And when everybody's telling you to sell, you need to buy. That's kind of the idea there. So, obviously we're in fear today. It's not historically depressed. It sits in territory that's frequently preceded mean reversion episodes, though it does not isolation. It's not in isolation constitute a directional signal. Sentiment reading partially confirms the exhaustion picture. A fearful market presses into already overextended short move in a combination that favors waiting for a momentum reset rather than chasing farther downside. So like I said, we need a little bit of a reset before we continue down. Definitely looking like we might get a little bit of sideways price action today, so that could be good for us. 4 hourly and hourly time frames are aligned bearish with ADX readings, confirmed strength building. 4 hours ADX is at 22.49 and rising, and the hourly ADX is at 30.17. That alignment represents a coherent directional vote. The problem is the execution layer. 15-minute momentum is exhausted at current extension with an active cross time frame exhaustion signal. Multi-session RSI divergence has been flagging weaker momentum against the continued price decline since the New York Open, and a weekly bullish divergence appeared at the London Open. The field is characterized as an extended rather than fresh, and the directional structure exists, but the energy required to drive price through targets is not available in its current state. So like I said, definitely looks like we could see that breakdown today. It's, overall it kind of looks like that, but you don't have the energy to continue with that breakdown. So, kind of looking at it, we could really go either way. It's not really kind of dependent on that. So we have two veto conditions today that are firing simultaneously. First, the 50-minute momentum is overextended with the cross active time frame exhaustion signal, like we just read about. This is the immediate short leg, or this means that the immediate short leg is spent. The 4-hour RSI is sitting at 37.15 in oversold territory. 4-hour stochastics are oversold, and the hourly Bollinger Band with percentile, or BBWP, is at 97.6%. That confirms the hourly squeeze is already broken. Entering a short under these conditions mean chasing the exhausted tail of a deployed move, not positioning at the start of one. Second, a persistent RSI divergence has been active from the New York Open onward, flagging weakening momentum with continued price decline across multiple sessions. A structural lean counter signal is also registering to the long side at plus 23.23. This does not reverse the bearish case, but it qualifies the available runway severely. The performance record: 3 losses in the last 5 trades. In net capital bleed context, demands that borderline setups of this character are vetoed, not pushed. So essentially, you know, the system hasn't been doing too great on the trades in the last little bit. Yeah. 3 out of 5 trades losing. Not too great. Yeah. Price is currently at 63,555. Obviously, we are actually below that. Pinned inside 30-minute opening range. Yeah, actually, this doesn't even matter because we already have dropped below that now. We're kind of coming back up into it now, just kind of glancing back at the chart. Short reopens when 2 conditions resolve. 50-minute extension exhaustion. The 15-minute exhaustion signal clears, the momentum reloads from the retested state, and price drops below that 63,133 with clean fuel behind it. A breakdown of 63,133 while the 15-minute remains overextended is not an entry, it is chased. Both conditions must be met simultaneously. Yeah, so yeah, I mean that's kind of it. You know, our system is not calling the trade today. Overall, how is the performance of the system doing? So the most recent closed trade, so we had a long from 65,507, stopped out at negative 1R. So over the last 7 days, that was the most recent trade. That was actually yesterday, I believe. That was yesterday's trade. So over the last 7 days, we had 1 win, 1 loss, with a net of 1.1 AR. If you don't know what 1.1 AR is, to put it in terms that you would understand, if you put $100 on and you made 1.1 AR, it would mean you make about $118 on a trade. So basically, it's just risk to reward. So if you risk 100 and you make a reward of plus 1.18, you would make 118. So you know, really 200 minus the initial 100 you put in, so you'd make $100 on your 118 on your 218, I guess, minus 100, so you'd make 118 on your initial investment. So you know, across both those trades, with the win and the loss, we've made that 118. So you know, overall, even though we've lost one and made one, you're up $118. It's pretty good, you know. I guess 118 if that's what you put in. We do have some risk advisories here, probably all kind of the same thing. You know, watch out for 15 minutes. So we are exhausted. Don't be looking at the long side. Obviously, if we fire long, the short is definitely something not to look at. If it works out, there could be a trade to the long side, it says. And then don't front run the breakout. We need to see confirmed acceptance that we are going to in fact break out. So yeah, really overall, you know, just basically a staying down day. Nothing super interesting, all that to kind of say. Break down the market. All that to say, yeah, we're more than likely going to kind of go sideways today. Could get a breakdown. It's definitely possible. If the system, or sorry, not the system, if the chart kind of sets it upright, we could also break to the upside. But more than likely, it's a sideways day overall is kind of what we're thinking. So, we'll see how the day plays out. Maybe something will kind of change. We'll see something else come in. Maybe we'll be more of a breakout opportunity here. But overall, yeah, we're looking for price trade sideways today. Nothing's really getting called in the system. Longer term, we're looking for a breakdown still. Looking for that breakdown to get down to the 60,000 level, get the close below on the weekly, and see that continuation down to around 50,000. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Really, it's just going to take time, see what's going on. Yeah, hopefully there's trade tomorrow, but we really kind of need to pick direction, kind of show some promise, going one way or the other to kind of get that momentum going and get, the ability to kind of be able to take some more trades and make some money, hopefully. So, yeah, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for coming in and checking us out. Hopefully, all that information kind of helped you. Whether you trade our system, you trade your system, either way, hopefully it was a little helpful. Maybe even just kind of hearing somebody else talk about trading, kind of bounce your ideas off of it, or maybe you thought of something maybe you could throw into your system. I don't know, but yeah, hopefully it helps you. Hopefully it helps you, on your road to financial freedom. That's really what we're here for. Speaking of which, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like, hitting that subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, and hitting the bell notification just helps us, get our channel out to more people and show more people what we're about, and hopefully help more people, on the road to financial freedom. But anyways, thanks for joining today. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. again. That's Central Standard Time, so you have to convert that to your time, but we'll be live again then. So thanks y'all for watching today, and hopefully we'll catch y'all tomorrow. Happy trading to y'all.